Right, so this is a question that has often been asked over the last 4 years, and arguably more so since he was barred against the rules of the Labour Party rulebook from standing for the Labour Party again, singled out over that as he was. But is Jeremy Corbyn going to launch his own party now? The reason I ask is that all of a sudden there's been a bit of media chatter on the matter, with the London Economic, the Daily Fail and Gbeebies, amongst others, all debating whether something is in the offing. Now, is this more mischief on the part of the media to wind up a load of disenfranchised rotten lefties? Or is there some truth in the matter? Well, for my money, I'll believe it when it comes from Corbyn himself. But with an election all but certain at some point this year, should Corbyn wish to stand for Islington North again, he will have to walk away from the Labour Party to do so. He is still a member, we shouldn't forget. Just one with restrictions from standing for Parliament. So all eyes are on him doing something soon. But could it be a lot more than just standing as an independent? Right, so is Jeremy Corbyn going to start a new party? Would you join it if he did? And how would that affect the state of play as we see things politically right now? Well, this is one of those stories from Labour insiders, from sources close to Corbyn. So as much as we might love to see it, some of us anyway, it might all be a lot of mischief. But my goodness, in 4 years to talk and hope that he would do something, it's never gone away, is it? 4 years into being Labour leader, Keir Starmer, still afraid of him. In his speech just last week, where he was supposed to be setting out his stall and his vision and all that again, but ended up becoming all about Peter Mandelson, he still felt he had to put the boot into Corbyn, mention Corbyn and attack him as someone the party's moved on from, even though Corbyn's still a Labour member. We know things have moved on from those times, from the Labour leadership under Corbyn, moved on from hope and inspiration, as that has meant, to a vision of, this is the best you're going to get. It's the Tories are us. We're slightly less awful than them, but that'll be a matter of opinion, won't it? The centrists, of course, are already wailing that this will split the left vote. That if Corbyn launches something ready for the general election this year, which leaves very little time, in my opinion, but this is the mood music on the subject, that it could blow Labour's chances of a majority to hell. The old, you'll let the Tories back in excuse. Now, you know this is what centrists are saying, because anyone genuinely of the left will have already left Labour, probably, and will likely be pointing out that Starmer's bunch are just a load of red Tories, and for people that don't vote Tory, we're not going to back him anyway. This channel, for example. A large number of people have become disaffected and disenfranchised by Starmer and Labour under him, won't vote for them, won't vote Tory either, won't vote Tory no matter what coloured ties they are wearing. The other parties are not necessarily appealing right now to everyone. Many of them will, however, have been enthused and inspired by Corbyn's vision for the country back in the day. That has been taken away from us by Starmer promising it all and abandoning every bit of it he ever stood for, killing the Corbyn project stone dead and the hope of a better country off entirely. Let's remember what we had offered up to us in that time under Corbyn. Free broadband, renationalisation of all of our utilities, privatisation stripped out of the NHS and a return to fully funding it, recruiting the NHS staff we actually need for it to run, a house building boom with emphasis on social housing, scrappage of tuition fees, the green industrial revolution, remember that one, creating thousands of new jobs in green industries and dealing meaningfully with the climate emergency, the National Care Service, Sure Start centres returning in every community, protect the pension triple lock, free bus passes, free over 75 TV licence, protect winter fuel payments, a real living wage that actually means, that is actually true to the words of that, the National Education Service, investment in schools and more. And of course it is all possible because this country can create the money to do it all if it chooses to tax the rich properly to offset that spending and not put the tax burden disproportionately on the shoulders of ordinary working class people, because my goodness, we've not seen any of that, have we, under the Tories? That was on offer then, of course. So what is the crack about now? What is on offer now, apparently, in this new Corbyn party vision? Well, in 2019, a single issue did rather well in putting Boris Johnson in number 10. That was his oven-ready turkey twizzler of a Brexit deal, the pack of lies that it was. It was nothing of the sort, just another Johnson lie. Corbyn is purportedly looking to stand on an anti-war stance. Could that work just as well here and now? Well, the majority of the British public we know stand in stark contrast to both main parties, who are right now, particularly on the matter of Gaza and Israel. Corbyn's pro-Palestine stance of many years placing him at odds with the majority of MPs, but on the side of the mood of the majority of the British public. Moods are also shifting on the matter of Ukraine, not least because all of a sudden Israel seems to be more important to Western leaders. Corbyn the pacifist, Corbyn the negotiator, Corbyn would have demanded a ceasefire from the off. We all know it, whether you like Corbyn or not. People being killed helps solve nothing. Get people around the table talking ultimately is what works, and you know damn well that's exactly what he would have been advocating for. Sanctions, if necessary, along the way to pull those more interested in conflict into line, and right now we'd all be looking at Israel for that, wouldn't we? Why now, though? Why has it taken 4 years for Corbyn to perhaps come to this point? I think the answer to that lies in the very thing that destroyed him as Labour leader to begin with. All the mud slung at him. The one thing that eventually stuck was the anti-Semitism scam. And of course now we're perfectly comfortable calling it a scam, because that is exactly what it was in hindsight, what it's proved to be. It's been exposed. And again, Israel right now playing that card exposes the weaponisation of it all the more. I'm prepared to risk my neck by saying I think an awful lot of people who once thought the worst of this lifelong anti-racist have changed their tune in the intervening years. I would humbly suggest Corbyn right now, in the political landscape we have before us as well, the dearth of hope and opportunity before us all, regardless of who wins the next general election, makes way for a man for whom hope became a byword for. If it does come to pass, and people within Labour complain about it, centrists moan about it, you can imagine James O'Brien crying into his cornflakes over this. They've only got their own leader to blame. Corbyn was cleared of any anti-Semitic intent or behaviour or conduct by the Labour Party itself, by the National Executive Committee. His subsequent expulsion and blocking from being allowed to stand as a Labour Party MP again was entirely the doing of Keir Starmer personally. The latter point, of course, having to be ratified by the Starmerite National Executive Committee, but he brought the motion. That wasn't democratic, that was a sham. If Corbyn starts a new party and scuppers their electoral chances, it is all on Starmer. All on him. Not on Corbyn. Anyone in this country has the right to stand for election. If you can't win votes or keep them with proper, decent, meaningful pledges and promises, then you never deserved them. None of which we can trust coming from Starmer now anyway. You deserve to lose your votes in that case, do you not? And so I suppose this brings me to what I can see coming to pass if this does indeed happen. I've always felt that if Corbyn stood as an independent, pretty much every politically homeless former Labour activist and their dog will descend on Islington North to campaign for him against whoever Labour put up. Perhaps a party he begins now, say, or in the next few weeks, would just be built around that, given how little time there likely is before the general election. If he opened it up more widely, though, to memberships, then what then? Well, I can see the website set up to do so crashing in minutes. It would. All those Labour members Labour's lost, not all like me went to another party. Some of those may well leave wherever they went to stand with Jez once more. But you're talking hundreds of thousands of people, without exaggeration, joining on the spot. I've always said it. If Corbyn did this, he'd have a party to rival the main ones in terms of size and membership within days. Labour would likely see another massive drop of those who have hung in with their party regardless. No other politician I can think of in this country has the pull this guy does. He's chosen not to flex that until perhaps now, but in no way do I believe that has diminished. And if he can pull that membership in, along with the membership cash that comes with it, under him Labour needed no donors after all. He was totally self-sufficient. Unlike now where Starmer has chosen the way of the donor and not the voter, then why couldn't he have multiple candidates ready to stand around the country? Last time out, this guy was portrayed and sold to the public as a boogeyman, a racist, and a man who would bankrupt the country and make your life hell. Actually, everything they said he would cause has happened anyway thanks to the Tories. It's almost like capitalism is really the problem. And with Starmer more often than not agreeing with the Tories, nothing's going to change if the faces do. Seismic shifts don't happen often in our politics, but if Corbyn starts a new party, you'll have never seen anything like what I'm certain would happen next. If the media are making mischief and offering us all a little bit of hope where actually there is none, that's particularly cruel, and it could be the case. As I said at the start, when Corbyn says it himself, I'll believe it. But it really would be refreshing to have that injection of hope in our politics once again. And if I'm honest, and as unfair to him as this is in terms of pressure, there's literally nobody else who could do this. No one else could pull off what he could. Another reason that may have prompted Corbyn in this direction might have been a certain interview recently he did with Piers Morgan, harassed like mad to condemn Hamas as is the media line. They will, of course, try and come for him again. But surely we've learnt now. You should watch this video next to see an example of just how scared of Corbyn's return the establishment might be. And I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.